Hello everybody, this is Zips, and today we're going to be reviewing Call of Duty Ghosts. I hate Call of Duty Ghosts. Alright, maybe hate is too strong of a word here, but I really dislike it. It's a run-of-the-mill, by-the-numbers, over-the-top, modern-era first-person shooter, and I'm tired of it. I'm done. Yes, you have your elaborate set pieces with plenty of explosions that you and your cohorts miraculously survive time and time again. Yes, you have your attempt at some big mid-game reveal that you totally see coming from a mile away. Yes, it's a Call of Duty game. I can't tell if it's the fatigue from the franchise or just fatigue from the modern era setting. I don't know. Maybe we do need to go back to some World War II setting and stories just to see if maybe the modern setting isn't just completely played out now. I won't get into the details and specifics here because the less I dwell on this game, the better. It's essentially a slightly more pretty version of the previous titles in the Call of Duty series. There will be forced stealth sequences. There are obviously a ton of explosions and shooting of bullets. There will be the same scripted death animations and terrible AI that has graced this series for many years now. I will say that the game does indeed look better than the previous years, but that really isn't saying much. I do find it a little odd that frame rate issues were even a thing with Ghosts. Running on a GTX 770 with 4 gigs of video memory, the game would often max out the GPU usage and still suffer frame rate drops here and there. Lowering the AA did help a slight bit, but the frame rate was just so inconsistent that I really could not figure out why. Another problem here is that at 32 gigabytes, at least on the PC version, I would have expected to actually see some very high resolution textures being used. They're not. Many areas within the environment look like the same texture quality from games we saw a couple of years ago still. I really have no idea what's taking up 32 gigs of data on my machine with this game if it's not for super high definition textures. That insane size requirement, coupled with the underwhelming texture quality and inconsistent frame rate, really lead me to believe that this game simply wasn't optimized much at all. I understand there was a lot of work to get out on a multi-generational title, but I find that excuse flimsy at best. Now, those 32 gigs are certainly not filled with content because the single-player campaign only takes about 4.5 hours on normal if you're lucky. It's certainly not for the new Extinction mode because there's only one map for that as far as I'm aware. Maybe it's all contained in the game's multiplayer. Now, the multiplayer maps are larger than what was found in the previous games, which is great. They're not Battlefield huge, but they're not postage stamp sized affairs either. They feel appropriately sized given that the combat is all infantry based and there are no vehicles to make use of. Honestly, there just isn't much new to discuss when it comes to multiplayer. There are 10 characters that make up a squad. These squad members can be customized visually if you so desire, and each has a different set of custom classes. While you cannot change your soldier during a multiplayer match, you can choose from a few loadout variations on the particular soldier that you do choose to use. Loadouts are made up of the usual suspects here, except now Ghosts moved care packages to being a reward for completing a field order. Field orders are mid-game tasks that you can pick up, such as getting a melee kill or killing someone from behind. There are also no pro versions of any perk in Ghosts. The loadout and abilities are all unlocked on a variation of the previous Pick 10 system. You now unlock new abilities and weapons using squad points. Simply play the game and rank up to earn more squad points. You can unlock just about anything at any given time with this, meaning you won't have to slog through weapons you hate before getting the one gun you really wanted to use. The system works, it's functional, but then again, so are the previous systems. It really seems like the multiplayer customization stuff changes from year to year purely for the sake of change and not for any actual reason. Also, who needs zombies when there was a wave-based co-op game where you and 3 friends fight against aliens? It's a co-op mode for up to 4 people. There's some optional challenges that pop up from time to time that reward you with spendable skill points for a round. Unfortunately, there's only one map to it, so it's almost guaranteed that they will release DLC maps for it down the line. On its own, it's nothing really new or refreshing, but here it's a nice bonus that nobody was really expecting, so I absolutely cannot fault them for that. So yeah, multiplayer is more the same. It's long gotten past the point where the multiplayer simply feels like one gigantic bundle of DLC from the previous year's games. I think that feeling started maybe around Modern Warfare 2? I don't know, I've lost track, they all blend together at this point. As already mentioned, the single player is still pretty much what you would expect from Call of Duty. Explosions are around every corner. Even when you're underwater and you think you're safe from explosions, boom, wrong. You blow up a ship while scuba diving and dodge depth charges. There's still forced stealth sequences in this game, at least one major one from what I can recall, where you're playing as the dog Riley, so at least it's a little bit different. Speaking of the dog, for as much as they hyped him up, he was in the game for a surprisingly short amount of time. I think you're only with him for maybe a quarter of the game, if that, and then he shows up here and there throughout the rest. The dog is probably the only character I actually gave a damn about in this game. There was just no emotional attachment to the brother character that often delivered his lines with as much conviction and emotion as a frying pan. There wasn't much concern when another major character dies. Oh, spoiler? Come on, it's Call of Duty. It's a given that major characters here will die. And I sure didn't care much about those underwhelming fish that were so highly talked about before the game's release. The game, as a whole, plays it safe. There's just nothing notable to write home about here, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a transitional period for games, from current gen to next gen. So why mess with the formula when they know it will still make them a ton of money with minimal effort? As it stands, however, there just isn't anything to really care about here. It's as generic as you can get with forgettable characters and an ending that will piss you off if for no other reason than it pretty much throws it in your face that they're already planning on a direct sequel to this game. So yeah, you don't even get a proper ending here, as that will more than likely come from the sequel or, God forbid, a third game down the line. Maybe by then they'll understand that terrible AI, the same canned animations we saw for years now, and the same damn staples of gameplay need a complete overhaul. Seriously, I saw enemies just standing still at times doing absolutely nothing. When they weren't doing that, they were ineffectively moving between points of cover or standing out in the open but actually shooting. So you kill them and no ragdolls. Just canned animations again. Actually, I think there was one point where I saw ragdolls when I shot someone and they fell into water. It actually made me do a double take for a split second because I forgot at that point I was playing a Call of Duty game. And then everything blows up and I was brought back to reality. Even the gimmicky dog sequences or the space sequences aren't enough to redeem this title. Additionally, I don't think it's excusable anymore that modern first-person shooter games, especially on the PC, ship without a field of view changer. Seriously, that's inexcusable. It should be there for single player, it should be there for multiplayer, and it should be there by default. It shouldn't be patched in, third parties shouldn't have to add it, it should just be there. It's honestly a shame because for the first time in a while, I was looking forward to a new Call of Duty release. I had the, yeah, next-gen visuals. I can really go for a mindless shooter. It'll be fun. And I guess in one respect, I got precisely what I wanted. It was indeed mindless. I just never figured it'd be this brain-dead. I will add one thing here, however. For as much as I complain about the game mechanics and how underwhelming the entire experience is, the game is stable. The only major issue I ran into with Ghost came during a single-player campaign. A graphical glitch on one very specific point in a level rendered the entire scene blinding. It came when a river I was following turned into a sparkly white and purple glitch-looking thing. The further I proceeded, the more obvious the visual glitch became until I had to push through it and the enemies that spawned just to be able to see again. The area of the river before and after this particular area were just fine. Now, from a quick search, the same thing has happened to other users at the same exact spot, and in all cases, including my own, system temperatures were not an issue, and so it was simply an issue that needed to be addressed from Infinity Ward or even from Nvidia with new video drivers. Besides that, I've had no crashes in Ghost nor lockups. Again, it's been very, very stable. Compare that to the PC version of Battlefield 4, which I recently acquired, and well, the difference is night and day. In 4 days of ownership, Battlefield has given me multiple crashes to desktop in both single-player and multiplayer, broken script sequences in single-player, sound errors on specific maps in multiplayer, which my friends also experience on the very same maps, and looping sound errors that will completely freeze up my game until I force it to close in the task manager. All of which have been documented by many other users as well, so I'm not alone in these issues. None of this happens in Ghost, and that is honestly a huge plus in my book. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this brief review of Call of Duty Ghosts. As always, this has been Zips, and we'll catch you next time.